90. Many nations fall short of democracy with good citizen care for two reasons. 1. Overlarge, overweaponized national armies and militias trample foreign nations and domestic rights and freedoms. Let's push our only cure, national and treaty law worldwide, to stop weapons manufacture, destroy weapons, and disband armies except for ever-shrinking necessary border defense. The second democracy killer is government power that constitutions order judiciously limited by our full voting rights, also proscribed and confined by public service of our general, meaning everyone's welfare, opposite of tyranny, which guards our human rights and attends to our human needs. Instead, in contempt of our constitutions, total unlimited power over us is often seized by a tiny minority that enriches and empowers fake public servants' lives in return for screwing over with their treasury raiding power and deadly non-regulations 100% of citizens for the temporary benefit of only the already grossly over-advantaged. I fail to understand why my particular obsession with what appears to me to be his story's most dangerous, deadly, terminal reality is so unusual and underreported. Most of my 100 speeches hammer war's physical, commercial cause, the weapons business capture of governments, and freedom to sell to every adult citizen too. By contrast, history's millions of professional war and peace analysts, and every political and military fight arranger too, all twisted themselves into pretzels, searching just for other causes of war. Indeed, finding vast evidence for many more power, prejudice, and politics by other means crazy or just selfish and evil motivators. Just ask everyone the single question that all 1,000 of every 1,000 murder weapon lovers also pointedly ignore. What resulted from all million peace proposals, 20-point plans that left weapons piled to the moon while begging, "Just pretty please, don't use them. But all sides do keep your powder dry, just in case you might want another 1,000 battles." And such ditzy diplomacy always invited? No, ensured what? 10,000 unbroken years, slaughtering 1 billion, right? Fought with the weapons that every merchant, power gamer, and war justifier remains forever addicted to. Why are we 90 seconds from 8 billion corpse doomsday? Because across 195 nations, only a single Looney Tunes screeches cold turkey weapons withdrawal. Please make it 2. I promise you that after a few days of violent shakes and cold sweats, you'll feel as good as I did 11 years ago when I kicked 25 daily hard liquor shots forever. Then I set about loving everybody else too. You gotta do the same against world war and global warming by recruiting 1 billion helpers, because everyone must join in to save your family. United, we stand. Divided, isolated, ignorant, and passive, we fall. Dead. Take away the boys' financial and physical kill toys. Nothing else touches the problem. Only your leadership, not mine or anyone else's, will do your job right. Vaccines are estimated by most experts to have saved 165 million lives. A COVID vaccine may have caused 12 young women to die of blood clots. What can you say about people who believe that vaccines are more dangerous than the diseases they prevent? They all flunked math and science classes. Anti-vaxxer RFK Jr. visited American Samoa in the midst of a measles outbreak. Among the unvaccinated, of course. 2 children had just died after apparently routine measles vaccine shots. No, a doctor accidentally gave them fatal doses of a different wrong drug. But this tragedy was not discovered before Bobby Kennedy ran around the island warning people not to take the proven deadly measles vaccine. Thousands of American Samoans then refused their kids the shot. Measles quickly killed 84 of them. A compliant Republican Senate is about to rubber stamp RFK Jr. to run all of America's federal health and human services. He labels all vaccines unsafe, ineffective, and unresearched, never having perused our CDC website featuring the full research over decades of every vaccine proven safe and effective. I won't take away anybody's vaccine, he said. What he will do is echo 20 years of claims that vaccines cause autism, based on 2 fully flawed studies proven by dozens of redone studies to be 100% false. In fact, autism and many other health problems occur less among the healthier people whose full vaccination history made them less vulnerable than negligent families inviting diseases while scared of vaccines, who also often died of those diseases. Did you know what thousands of anti-vaxxers with COVID about to die on ventilators told their families? Get vaccinated! My mistake is going to kill me. National news stories out of hospitals that I swear I didn't make up. Vaccines don't just lighten up diseases well below hospitalization severity. They eliminate entire epidemics and diseases when 90% of entire populations keep taking them. Exactly where Wingnut Bobby comes in. He plans to spend 4 years hammering all Americans into doubt and fear of vaccines, also discouraging insurance and school requirements too. Vaccination, despite the horrible risks, is your remaining right, he'll say. Confident of terrorizing 360 million Americans well below 50% vaccination for flu, COVID, and every other preventable adult and juvenile killer. When the hundreds of thousands of resulting new deaths rocket unvaccination up to top 5 killer level, he'll quit, but only after directly causing every death. None of which he intends. He means well, but he's already nailed his first 84 victims with his ignorance and stupidity, not evil or malice. Let's all become national pro-vaxxers, constantly duking it out with Deadly Bobby. Fill every school board meeting with protests against insane parent and child vaccine opt-out provisions about to do RFK's confusing, sickening, killing work across every neighborhood in America. What do all 100 of my speeches say about everything? Remove any legal rights of violent or just stupid people to kill my children. Conspiracy and fantasy purveyor Bobby Kennedy Jr. maintains, I do believe that vaccines cause autism. 2 world-publicized studies from Britain in 1998 drew links between the measles, mumps, rubella, MMR, vaccine, and autism because the researcher, GI Dr. Andrew Wakefield, noted traces of measles virus found in the guts of 24 of 25 autistic children. 10 of his research assistants and writers retracted their contributions. The publishing journal Lancet repudiated the two studies, drawing conclusions they found to be flawed and erroneous. Every other investigating study ever since has found zero connection between any vaccine and increased incidence of autism. Yet all over the world, 1 billion parents, hearing only of the original sensational studies without looking into the expert storm of rejection, became permanently dubious of vaccine safety, and a percentage have opted out of their children's school vaccinations ever since. In the United States and around the world, diseases once extremely minimized by latter 20th century comprehensive vaccination are steadily returning, including whooping cough, measles, mumps, hepatitis A, and human papillomavirus. Vaccine fear limited COVID vaccination to 5 of the world's 8 billion. Along with failure to make it available to better educated people who wanted it. An overwhelming majority of the likely 19 million killed were unvaccinated. Two people fighting over the trophy for world's most ignorant man are President Donald Trump and his nominee for Health and Human Services Director, RFK Jr. Trump says, "Autism is multiplying. We must look at cause." RFK has said, "There is no such thing as a safe and effective vaccine." Never mind that medical consensus estimates that 165 million lives so far have been saved by them. Donald Trump's verdict on the school vaccine mandates responsible for preventing most of those deaths before the third ignoramus, Andrew Wakefield, scared hundreds of millions of parents from their 21st century responsibility, plunging compliance critically below the necessary epidemic-crushing 90%. The Prez says, "I don't believe in mandates." RFK says that vaccines need to be double-blind placebo research to prove their safety and efficacy and rule out the dangers he is convinced, with zero evidence, to sicken millions. He obviously has not perused the 1,000 sources, including the CDC's website, detailing the vast, double-blind, placebo, tens of thousands of subjects tested studies of every single vaccine, including the decades of follow-up research, all confirming vaccines' incredible, comprehensive safety, efficacy, and zero connection with any major medical disease other than stopping gigantic ones in their worldwide tracks. The one exception that I heard about was the concern that 12 pregnant COVID-vaccinated women died of blood clots. An interaction between the complex chemistry of pregnancy, the COVID vaccine, and their blood clotting tendencies could not be ruled in or out. Without any COVID vaccine, the world's estimated 19 million COVID deaths, according to studies, would have increased by 3.8 million. RFK, if confirmed, plans to order massive, unnecessary repeat research of all vaccines, proposing that 1 million or so unknowingly get saline shots. No vaccine, including children, who in large numbers will satisfy his curiosity by either dropping dead, as 100% of other medical authorities know they will, not from vaccines they got, but from vaccines they didn't, or staying healthy from no vaccines, as only stupider than rocks anti-vaxxers believe they will. All of history's number one research rule is that studies must stop before withholding known life-saving from subjects, or causing proven danger of death to increase for a single study participant, much less to the hundreds of thousands of lives that Bobby wants to play with. So who's gonna sue him in every federal court before he starts crazy, deadly study number one? You and me, baby. A doctor interviewed on NPR said that all scientists, especially medical science decision makers, must constantly review their own opinions and plans for solid, research-driven heavy proof or strong evidence. Any belief that they might entertain against research discredit must be set aside, certainly not dangerously acted on, from their position of deciding authority. So far, scientific medical truth has been the fully accepted standard among American government, environmental, and medical leadership. Worry from now on that President Trump of inject poison bleach to kill your internal COVID fame is about to set top leadership fools loose to rampage, certainly to harm and kill people in America and all over the world. If you want to learn what is and is not known about autism, just hop on the internet for 10 minutes. Most of decades' steady, huge increase in diagnosed cases is due to vastly increased surveillance and identification. Up to 90% of the disorder is genetics, barely changing over millennia. Autism runs in families like all mostly genetic afflictions. Significant increase of incidence is due to air pollution. Maternal obesity, low birth weight, and pesticide exposure are linked to more autistic offspring. Pregnant women who take anti-epileptics or antidepressants have more autistic kids. Pregnant consumption of alcohol may increase childhood to adult autism. Autism involves very comprehensive brain and consequently communication, thought, and life problems. Neuron health, oxygenation, and nutrition could all be harmed by the causes I have listed. If RFK pursues research confirmed autism causes and takes public action when indicated, he could reduce this terrible handicap. But if he just hammers his 1,000% ignorant worldwide campaign against vaccines, he will not only not prevent a single case of autism, but could become known by 2100 as the anti-medical monster who killed 200 million people that he scared out of the life-saving beyond any sane doubt shots. Much damage has been underway well before RFK's deadly idiocy. The original stupid study origin of vaccine danger misinformation led to every school opt-out of vaccines provision ever since. While madness and death rocket higher on Donald and Bobby's watch, I'll be angrily singing Bob Dylan's lyrics from Blowin' in the Wind. How many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Speaking of lethal fools, global warming denier Trump chuckled at a video of lame duck Biden answering questions about saving trees on the edge of the Amazon rainforest. In fact, dying of CO2 hothouse drought. He smirked. Everybody warns you about global warming, but I don't know, it's kind of cool today, isn't it? The CNN reporter briefly noted that giant, suddenly dead forests will release so much CO2 as to change current deadly enough warming to scorching. I've already hit hard on this problem and solution, so I'll keep it brief. Lakes and rivers near your water treatment intake plant may well be plunging ever lower because the last 30 years, 30% CO2 emissions spike, causing around 10% stratosphere increase, has relentlessly, increasingly blocked sun heat high dissipation. The greenhouse effect, heating our earth ever drier, including every moisture-losing plant and ever-shrinking, moderate, continent-wide regular rains, only increasing massive, ocean-steaming, sky river coastal floods, tearing out, not watering crops, nor reaching to rescue continents' interior lakes, crops, and people. We're very soon due to complete Earth-wide forest death, which will instantly release 5 times 2024's deadly enough CO2 emissions record peak, just as instantly killing your whole family by thirst and starvation. We must fast water those doomed forests with our clever new coastal ocean steam and flood collection and delivery to every dying lake, farm, and community too. Then, while electing global warming rescuers, not oil company deniers and liars, we will net zero human and forest CO2 emissions by 2050. Unfortunately, the still further exploded stratosphere excess won't dissipate out for 1,000 years, so we'll have to build another giant CO2 scrub-out factory every day for the next century to lower our stratosphere's terminal 480 parts per million back down to 250 years ago, 280 parts per million. Plant and people friendly, normal temperature and rainfall levels. The problem is, not 1/10,000th of this even begins without our weapons, armies, and the bribery that buys them world ban. That swords into all rescue plowshares treaty that I 100 speech hammer. My next job is to shrink my 45-hour gab fest to lawyer-guided court case briefs and sue, baby, sue. 1,500 worldwide environmental lawsuits pushing emissions-cutting progress are advancing. Just none that even touch our imminent extinction holocaust, against which I detail the necessary laws to stop. But before I break my arm patting myself on the back, let's all agree that, beyond a good idea man, I'm an entirely useless amateur. You million pros, listen up, take over, and replace a disappearing old man.